Right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a whole bunch of good crypto news for you today. Gonna be kind of a short one, but the first thing that I want to talk about is that Baakt Futures said that it's cleared to launch next month again and again and again. So this is probably the third, fourth, who knows at this point, Baakt Futures launch date. And it's probably going to happen sooner or later. Everybody's wishing upon a star. It might be a fairy tale. It might be real. Who knows? So it was announced last August 2018. And then it was supposed to come out in December, and then they're like, the SEC is lagging, so we're going to do it in January, and then the date wasn't going to happen. I think it was like January 24th. They said that the SEC, there's no way, because they have to have like at least 2 weeks in advance or something, and then it was supposed to be in like February, and then April, and now they're like, it's going to be a few more months. So September 23, with their physically settled Bitcoin futures. So now there used to be a lot of hype with Baakt Futures, not so much anymore. Even if you look at the news comments and things like that, Reddit, most people are like, I used to be excited about this, and people just aren't anymore. Now, that doesn't take away, the consideration that Baakt Futures could do very well for Bitcoin and actually bring in institutions. I know everybody's sort of tired of that word as well, bringing in the institutions, because so far that really hasn't happened on a massive scale yet. But perhaps that will happen with Baakt Futures. Last August, they announced it being the first product, to physically settle Bitcoin futures and not just pay cash, bet on it, and then get cash. Now it's pay with Bitcoin or cash, and then you have to be settled in Bitcoin. So in a blog post Friday, Baakt CEO Kelly Loeffler wrote, our contracts have already received the green light from the CFTC through the self-certification process, and user acceptance testing has begun. So they did do the user acceptance testing, whatever that really particularly means to us or to Baakt Futures, that is. And I think that was earlier, or mid last month or something along those lines. And apparently went well, I guess. With approval by the New York State Department of Financial Services to create Baakt Trust Company, a qualified custodian, a banked warehouse with custody for Bitcoin physically settled futures. She said this offers customers unprecedented regulatory clarity and security alongside a regulated, globally accessible exchange in a market underserved by institutional-grade infrastructure. So this could be good. This could be what institutions are sort of waiting for, so that there is regulatory clarity, that if they invest into it, it's going to be okay, because nobody's going to put tens or hundreds or billions of dollars into something that they don't know is okay. So it's hard to say how this is going to affect it. I think for the majority, with people that already have Bitcoin that are going to put it on this futures exchange, that's not really going to do much for the world, because if they already have Bitcoin, it's already sort of out of circulation. It's already been purchased essentially. However, for new institutions that may put in money into Baakt Futures and not Bitcoin, because I think you can pay with either Bitcoin or money, fiat, and then you have to be, it has to be settled in Bitcoin. So it's hard to say. So they're either going to have to buy Bitcoin first and then put it on, or put their fiat on, and then either way, they're going to have to get a Bitcoin out of it. So they're going to have to pick up Bitcoin from exchanges, in the dark market, I suppose, the off-exchange market. But sooner or later, it may not be a fairy tale one of these days. Supposedly September 23rd. I'm not going to be holding my breath, though. Moving on, fake Toshi fails again. Craig Wright exposed by Microsoft. So, honestly, nothing too surprising here, but yet another one fails. So self-proclaimed Bitcoin creator Craig Wright popped up to remind everyone of his existence this week, while yet another fake Toshi showed up to begin their own unique scam. Wright was busy unwittingly exposing his own. So if you guys didn't see that, there was a Satoshi Nakamoto outing, I suppose, and it was on this website, and it was supposedly Satoshi Nakamoto who wrote up this big letter. And mind you, it is actually pretty compelling, although it doesn't really say anything that we didn't already know about Satoshi, but it was talking about how Satoshi's father was supposedly worked for this bank, and then they let him go, and it was extremely corrupt, and you kind of get the idea that it was in Pakistan or something like that. Honestly, just a bunch of nonsense. It's always going to be nonsense, with these Satoshi reveals until Satoshi signs a Genesis block transaction or one of the older transactions. It just has to be a Satoshi and send it somewhere random and sign the block. Hey, this was Satoshi sending this. Boom. There you have it for the most part. That's it. That's all it takes. And without that, nobody's going to believe it. Also, that Satoshi letter was on a PR website firm, like a firm website. And why would Satoshi, make articles on a PR website for, some shill campaign? So it's totally another shill campaign, just like that Countdown to Satoshi website that totally wasn't Satoshi. So yeah, don't believe that. But either way, so on August 18th, Craig Wright uploaded a paper to the SSRN database titled Payments, Providers, and Intermediaries as Defined by the Law of the Internet. The paper, which has had its submission date removed, is dated from 2007 and miraculously echoes the very first line of the original Bitcoin white paper. In a similar manner to the web, a purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through an intermediary, what his paper supposedly reads initially. For the courts or whatever. That's good news for Wright, who has been busy trying to convince the world he's Satoshi Nakamoto for the past 4 years, or maybe not, because it took less than 24 hours for Wright's devious scheme to allegedly be exposed. Again, every single document that this is actually new, right? So if you think that I'm reading like the same article over and over, and be like, hey, didn't you just like 3 days ago or 4 or like a week ago say that he submitted some kind of fake document to the court? Yeah, it literally, I think this is the 4th, 5th, maybe 6th, who knows, document submitted to the court or posted online that is just totally fake. It makes no sense that why he would just keep doing this. You'd figure he would have learned by now that these have metadata in them, and maybe you should like alter that or something first before you try to fake something. Who knows? But Peter McCormick, the podcaster, the guy who's being sued by Craig Wright for libel, which is never going to go anywhere, unearthed some interesting facts about Wright's document after downloading the only archived version of the paper from August 18th, 2019, no less. A check of its metadata revealed the creation date to be August 18th, 2019, or yesterday, if you're watching this on the 19th, that is. So the metadata reveals that the paper has been created using Microsoft Office 365. Okay, fair enough. This version of Office was not released commercially until 2011, yet Wright's paper is claimed to be from 2007. So this isn't the first time Craig Wright's attempts at deception have been undone by elements of the Microsoft Office family. There was early in July when they were submitted ongoing the Kleiman trial weren't from the date he claimed. On that occasion, Wright was undone by a version of the Calibri typeface, which wasn't created until 2015, even though his document's from 2012. So again and again and again, this happens, and I'm not sure. I don't even know why this is still going on, to be totally honest. I don't know why this court case just hasn't been shut down immediately. Very confusing. And although I don't think he submitted this one to the court, he just put it online somewhere. I don't, who knows. But Craig Wright, good job. So moving on, new study reveals the most overhyped cryptos on Twitter, and it's not Tron. So across the 450 cryptos considered in the investigation, there was an average hype to activity ratio of 1.0 tweets per $1 million of trade volume. So any token rated under this value would seem to be eschewing hype as a marketing tool and not really caring whether it was noticed or not. So the least overhyped cryptocurrency turned out to be Tether, scoring just 0.003. Whilst it's not coming as a surprise, Tether is subject to a disproportionate amount of negative hype, so kind of makes sense. Other low scores included EOS, Ethereum Classic, Cosmos, and Neo. EOS being very, very low compared to the other ones, and Ethereum Classic pretty low as well, and I kind of agree with that. Ethereum Classic just really isn't any development going on, and for the people investing into it, I hope it goes up in price. I'm assuming the whole crypto market will when a bull run comes, but really just not much going on with the Ethereum Classic. Balanced crypto performers. So the majority of the top 5 tokens by market cap fall into this group. So Bitcoin gets a 1.72, Ethereum slightly lower at 1.17, Bitcoin Cash slips below the average of 0.72, and Litecoin sits in the middle at 1.08. So just in terms of their hype ratio, so the eagle-eyed amongst you may not have noticed one omission. It is going to come as no surprise to find XRP bucking the trend. Scored an impressive 4.07 hype to activity score. This actually spikes to about 6.66. Ooh, that's 666, which includes popular hashtags like the XRP army and community, etc. But even XRP fades into insignificance compared to some of the overhyped beasts, if you will. The top 3 comprises of token pay at 911.1. Electronium at 678.8 and Dragon Chain at 505.3. Token pay with an astonishing 33 million % higher activity ratio than Tether. But all the hype, no trousers, prevents itself through tweets from hordes of bot accounts, fake followers, and manipulated engagements, which I've showed some of those fake XRP bot accounts on Twitter on my channel a few times. Electronium has 127,000 followers. Good for you on Twitter, whereas BitMEX only has 65,000. What? And for those of you who only read the article just to laugh at Justin's son, Tron scores at about 0.544, so not as hyped as you would think. However, yeah, there are a lot of XRP fake accounts, and it's just people saying the same thing over and over. I've showed those on videos before, in news videos in the past, where there's about 6 to 7 different paragraphs that these XRP bots say, and they will say it over and over, and it'll always be a different account, but none of them will be following anybody. None of them will have any followers, but they're all tweeting the same exact thing. Quite convenient indeed, and that's why XRP seems to have, at least especially on Twitter, seems to have quite the following and quite the hype ratio. But a lot of it is totally bots. That what most people just think when you're scrolling along Twitter and you see those bots, you don't really click on them to see that they have 0 in terms of followers, and they're all saying the same exact thing. I've showed that many times before. Not hard to look up either. Good old XRP, huh? So moving on here. Now this article is a little interesting. It's not necessarily news, but it does kind of sum up the crypto world at the moment. So Vitalik Buterin Ethereum blockchain is almost full. Crypto needs usability and privacy. So according to Vitalik Buterin, Ethereum's blockchain is almost full, while usability, privacy, and security are required for mass adoption in addition to scaling. And I totally agree. In a recent interview with the Star, Buterin spoke with his experience in the future of the crypto space. Said scalability is a big bottleneck because the Ethereum blockchain is almost full. If you're a bigger organization, the calculus is that if we join, it will not only be more full, but it will be competing with everyone else for transaction space. It's already expensive, and it will be even 5 times more expensive because of us. There's pressure keeping people from joining, but improvements in scalability can do a lot in improving that. So Ethereum processes about 700,000 transactions daily, with an average fee of about 12.6 cents. But at its peak, it was doing 1.35 million, which spikes it to about $5.53 on average. And that might have been in 2017 or sometime in early 2018 or something. Doesn't really specify the year or the timeline of that. But as cryptocurrency as a whole attempts to bridge the gap, its technically minded base of fans in the general public, Dash, has made considerable inroads on addressing the technology's shortcomings, although nobody particularly uses Dash, at least not that I know of. This emphasis on usability and security comes after a BBC contributor lost 30,000 in Ethereum from my Ether wallet due to lax security practices. I don't know what he did, but this underscored the lack of user-friendly options and educational awareness related to keeping funds safe. So we do need scalability, we do need privacy, we do need security, but another thing is we need education, and another important thing in my opinion is we need the ability to not lose our crypto by simply doing one wrong thing, like on my Ether wallet. There is plenty of lost crypto over the years and mistakes of people sending it to wrong addresses, this, that, or the other thing, and it doesn't come back to you. There's nobody that can help you in the crypto world. So if you're getting into crypto, you need to fully educate yourself, probably not in a broad way, but but if you're going to use one specific currency, you should definitely focus on that one currency. However, broad is not a bad idea either, because something like Ethereum is wildly different than Bitcoin, although they still use private public keys, etc., that send back and forth. An Ether wallet can hold not only Ethereum, but all ERC20 and etc. tokens along with it, like my Ether wallet. And you might be confused by that. Like, isn't this just some other coin? No, it is an ERC20 coin, and it can go to my Ether wallet. But if it changes its blockchain at a later date and adds its own blockchain, that token, it's no longer going to work in your wallet. So there is a lot of confusing elements of cryptocurrency, and people still to this day thinking, I need $10,000 to buy one Bitcoin. Well, yeah, to get one Bitcoin, you sure do, but you can just put in $50 or $100 and get a fractional amount of Bitcoin, which is sort of lost on some people, but it really shouldn't be that confusing, in the same way that you don't need a whole dollar. You can have 73 cents, although I don't know what that's going to get you. Maybe back in the day, a whole bunch of candy and moon pies and super cool whistles and such. Penny stores, I don't know. Are those a thing? I don't think those are a thing anymore. But either way, you're going to have a fractional amount of money, and so you can with virtually every single cryptocurrency. Moving on here to CoinMarketCap, 281 billion market cap. We are starting to move back on up. Interestingly, we're moving up pretty fast. So is it going to last? Are we going to get to a point where the RSI just shoots up to 80 and everybody's going to start selling off on their various charts, etc.? Who knows? However, Ethereum up by something like $20 in pretty much a day. Also Bitcoin up pretty much $1,000 within the last day or two. So looking pretty good. Everything in the green for the most part. Winner of the day, Kin, Digitex Futures, Bytecoin. Energy is doing incredibly well, as energy typically moves up exactly with Bitcoin. I think if you look on your Coinbase app and you look at the correlation of Bitcoin to other coins, energy is usually at about 98, 95 or something like that correlation with Bitcoin. So whenever Bitcoin's going up, energy goes up disproportionately as well. So it's kind of a coin to follow the dips and rises, but how long that's going to last for, who knows. Agrecia, GX Chain, Algorand, V Systems, the losers of the day. Vergecoin, losers of the day at 16%, down to upwards of negative just 2%. So losers, but losers, few, winners, many. Today. But that's all I have for you guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the channel, or the video rather. I hope you like the channel as well. Might as well. But no thumbs up for just channels. Subscribe. Follow my social media. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. And as usual, I will see you guys next time.